Alright, y'all, so this is the last ever 3-hour Smackdown, okay? Next week, Smackdown's finally going down to 2 hours. Finally, okay? And at the very least, it'll be one less hour of garbage every week because, man, it is an hour and a half before this episode is done, you know what I'm saying? I think it was taped in Saudi Arabia, you know, because they have Night of Champions tomorrow. We're going to speed through this because, quite frankly, I'm not watching the rest of this show. I will go see the Cena and Punk segment. Like, I'm going to watch that actual full footage of that, probably on Twitter or YouTube, wherever it is, and then I'll finish off the review because what I saw so far, I'm not watching the rest of this garbage. I'll watch a little bit of highlights of the Tiffany and Nia match, and that's about it. So, with that being said, let's get into the review for the final 3-hour Smackdown. Woohoo, baby! You know, I'm so excited to be making this video because at the end of the day, like, even though this Smackdown is absolutely atrocious and unwatchable, basically, like it's been for the last, like, 6-7 months at this point. However, the deal is that you know this is the last 3 hours. So at the very minimum, it should at least be 1 or 2 points better next week because Smackdown the last 2 weeks has been solid and serviceable. It's been decent, okay? So at some point, they have to improve, and hopefully next week when it goes to 2 hours, it can be the beginning of that process. Now, we had the first thing, which was Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. And believe it or not, due to technical difficulties, this promo was absolutely cut short. So all we really got is Randy Orton saying the same thing he's been saying for 3 weeks now, which is that I respect you, I'm grateful for you, I respect the heck out of you, Cody, but at the end of the day, I have to RKO you and I won't do anything, there's nothing I won't do to win this championship and to win this King of the Ring. Then Cody Rhodes responds with, I am thankful for you, Randy. I am grateful for you, Randy. And I think I'm gonna be King of the Ring and you're not, Randy. And that's basically what we get. That's literally all it was. You know what I'm saying? He throws the mic down afterwards, and that's literally it. So I don't really know what else to say about this promo, this segment. The technical difficulties got in the way, but hey, we got less of Dr. Libations rambling on the mic for zero reason at all. So I guess that's a plus. We then move on to Jefferson Cobb. You know what I'm saying? Good old Jeffrey Cornina Cobb, Jeff Cobb, JC Mateo Cobb, whatever you want to call him. He goes out there and fights Jimmy Uso for the 90th time, and Jimmy Uso ends up getting pinned, of course, okay? After this, Jacob Fatu gets involved, and him and Jimmy stand off against Solo and Jefferson Cobb, and that's it. It's the same segment we got last week, and the week before that, and the week before that. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is there to say about this? So we can move on from this. We then got Giulia beating Zelina Vega, which obviously, let's be honest with ourselves, Zelina Vega is probably, even though there's only been 3 women's U.S. champions so far, now that Giulia's won, Zelina Vega is by far probably going to be the worst women's U.S. champion of all time until we get someone really bad to take her spot. She was not over. She told no stories. She had no good feuds. She wrestled Piper Niven and Chelsea Green a combined 11 Smackdowns. She wrestled one of the Secret Service members in the span of, 13 weeks? 11 matches out of 13 weeks. She was fighting against the Secret Service. If you find that entertaining, I don't know, man. Hey, whatever. It is what it is at the end of the day. The reign was absolutely atrocious. It was awful. So the fact that it came to an end tonight and Giulia predictably got this W, I think this is great. Zelina Vega will likely go back into being a jobber and she may end up getting fired. You just never know. Like, at this point, if we're being honest with ourselves, we saw Chelsea had the U.S. title and she lost it, and she is now a 100% unmitigated jobber. You understand what I'm saying? So Zelina Vega will likely be the same thing. She's not over. Nobody cares about what she's doing, and she's not doing anything or contributing anything to this company in the grand scheme. Let's just be honest about it. Like, I don't like to say that, but it's the fact. So if she gets released this year or next year, I would not be surprised in the slightest. We probably saw one of Zelina Vega's last championship matches ever in WWE tonight. We just saw it, so it is what it is. Now we move on from this. We then got Alexa Bliss and Charlotte backstage. They're basically discussing that, Alexa Bliss says she wants to have like a friendly alliance, basically. Same thing they've been teasing, but she says she wants to have a friendly alliance with Charlotte Flair because, they need to team up and, fight against some evil or whatever the heck she said, fight back against whoever's out there. So that's going to be a cool little team, and she says, Charlotte, think about it. Give it some thought. I'm excited for this because Alexa Bliss and Charlotte are 2 of my favorite women's wrestlers, so if they can actually turn this into a great story, and by they, I mean Triple Fraud, the game, I'm the Fiend, if Triple H can actually do his job and book these 2 all-time great women's wrestlers, you understand what I'm saying, over the last decade or so, if he can book them correctly, maybe we can actually get something good in the works. But at the end of the day, we're just gonna have to see what happens with this faction, but I'm looking forward to it. We then get Jade Cargill and Asuka, okay? Jade Cargill and Asuka basically go out there and they cut one of the worst promos known to man. Jade Cargill basically gets on the mic and cuts a very formulaic and bot-like promo, basically saying saying, look, at the end of the day, I'm coming for the whole throne. She says at SummerSlam, she's coming for the whole throne. Obviously, I'm assuming she meant, Night of Champions tomorrow. But again, we have to start being honest with ourselves. These two women on the mic, Jade and Asuka, are atrocious. It is what it is. I will say Jade has had some good moments over the last year on the mic. You know what I'm saying? My favorite line was when she was in a backstage segment with, I think it was Bianca, and she was like, get your papers ready, or get your applications ready, because we handing out work. And they walked in and did their entrance as tag champs. I thought that was sick. Other than that, they've been absolutely garbage on the mic, Asuka and Jade. It's just not gonna work. This match will likely be botchy tomorrow, and it is what it is. Asuka then gets on the mic and then goes, Jade, you cannot beat me, and I am Asuka, and that's it. That's literally it. She started saying a bunch of random stuff. Asuka literally just said a bunch of random words, and then she basically sped up to the part of the promo where she basically said, I am Asuka. That's all she did. That's what it was. She was like, Jade, blah, 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 blah. I don't like you. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to win the Queen of the Ring. I have experience, yada, yada, yada. And then she said, I am Asuka. And then boom, you're done. That's all this was. So there's nothing to speak of here. Naomi then gets involved afterwards. Naomi comes out and she's like, you know what, Jade? You're just mad that I'm going to take your moment because I have full control with this briefcase. And I suggest you proceed with, and then Jade goes over to try and fight her. Naomi moves out of the way. Then Asuka beats up Jade and then stands tall and looks at the Queen of the Ring. Obviously, Jade Cargill is going to be winning this match tomorrow, so just prepare for that to take place. We then move on to get DIY versus Andrade and Rey Fenix. This match is actually kind of decent, I would say. It's slightly entertaining. There's good in-ring work, right? This isn't a bad match per se, but there's nothing really special about it in my personal opinion, okay? Now, after this point, this is when I completely shut this off because I am not watching the Wyatt Jobbers fight against the Street Profits. I'm going to assume, right? I'm going to assume that this match ends in either a DQ or a no contest now, as they call it, because now they call DQs no contest to make up for Triple H's bad booking, because he likes booking everyone 50-50 so no one gets over anymore. So I'm assuming this match will end in a DQ, and I'm going to be honest with you. Actually, let me look this up as I'm making this video and just cut to it, you know what I'm saying? So I caught up on it, and what do you know? The match ended in a no contest, aka a DQ. Surprise, surprise. Triple H gives us no legitimate winners. No one legitimately retains anything, and there you have it. So the Street Profits tag match ended in a DQ. I'm sure the match was mediocre at best. Roxanne Perez then wrestled in something or did some type of match. I don't know what it was. I don't care. Tiffany Stratton then fought Nia Jax. I'm speeding through, man, because I'm so done with 3-hour SmackDown. I'm not wasting my time on this anymore, bro. We're at the end of the line. We might as well just finish this off. Tiffany Stratton then had a match with Nia Jax. I saw some of the highlights from this. This match actually looks like it was pretty decent. I'll say that much. Tiffany put Nia Jax through 2 tables, which I thought was sick. But again, this is Nia Jax versus Tiffany part 80. There's nothing nuanced, there's nothing creative, there's nothing interesting or engaging about this match, and because of that reason, there's nothing to really speak of. Tiffany obviously retains her championship. Naomi came out and tried to cash in at one point, and that's pretty much all there is to say about this. Tiffany retains. We move on. Now I'm going to go watch the John Cena segment with CM Punk, and I'll be back in a second. And now I have officially seen the final main event segment with John Cena and CM Punk, okay? I have to say, man, this segment was very corny and very cheesy, okay? It's very obvious. It's very evident. I do like the fact that they kind of took each other's kind of gimmicky moments, I guess, in back-to-back weeks. I thought that was a decent little touch. And at the end of the day, the presentation of Punk life, Punkonomics, I thought that was pretty decent. However, in CM Punk's actual promo, because it was so corny and cheesy and the material of it was a little bit off, there were some moments where the crowd didn't understand what he was saying or just didn't react. There were some moments where he messed up his words. It was a lot of different stuff. But at the end of the day, the promo itself, I would say, was pretty solid. It was mildly entertaining, or actually it was pretty entertaining, I'd say, and what he was actually saying was good. Therefore, the promo was overall either good or very solid in my opinion. He mentioned how John Cena, has buried more talent than The Undertaker. He says, what did he say? He's like, what's it called? He says that, we can see you're a snake, and I'm Kendrick Lamar, and you about to be Drake. You know what I'm saying? So he go get that dub. He basically brought up how CM Punk goes, and this is actually probably my favorite one, because I like DC and Marvel and all that stuff, but Punk goes, he's like, well, I'm still here after you retire. I'll be winning championships and having fun while you'll be washing your underwear for James Gunn. I thought that was great, so that was pretty entertaining. He says that, something, and brought up, Nikki Bella, how they hired his ex, so that was kind of of cool. He called John Cena a washed up bum. It was a bunch of good one-liners, I will say. A little bit cheesy and corny, of course, but again, if what the material you're providing is actually true, it's substantial, and it actually makes sense, and it was executed pretty well, like this was for the most part, because CM Punk did messed up multiple sentences and multiple lines and kind of minced words, and therefore the crowd kind of gave an awkward reaction. But for the totality of this, if you were to review it as a whole, this was good. You know what I'm saying? It was either solid or good in that range. So it was pretty cool to see it. I enjoyed it, and at the end of the day, we'll just have to see what happens in CM Punk and John Cena's match tomorrow. This episode of SmackDown gets a customary one time, the last 3 hour SmackDown ever gets a 1 out of 10, baby. You know what? I'll up it to a 3 for 3 hours. This last 3 hour SmackDown gets a 3 out of 10. Stay tuned tomorrow. I'll be coming back with the Night of Champions review. It'll be out tomorrow afternoon. And as always, I thank you guys for your support. I appreciate you. I respect you. I love you. And I thank you guys for watching. Have a phenomenal day. Peace out and one love.